it is very clear that the present system is biased. The system was conceived by a group of rich countries, and naturally it basically benefits rich countries. So we need, first of all, to recognize that we have presently a situation in the developing world in which countries are strangled by debt, and countries have no access to the financial resources they need in order to be able not only to address the dramatic challenges they face, but also to implement the Sustainable Development Goals. We need a new debt architecture, and we need to make sure that debt relief is effectively provided by the system, even to middle-income countries that are on the verge of very difficult, very dramatic situations, including suspending their payments. On the other hand, we need multilateral development banks to change their business model. We need them to assume more risks and to be able to leverage more systematically private finance. That is essential. But private finance today is only accessible to many developing countries at very high interest rates that do not allow for the solution of their problems. So multilateral development banks, beyond their loans, need to provide more guarantees to bring private finance at reasonable costs. Must be first risk takers in coalitions of financial institutions to support developing countries. And this is true in relation to situations like the situation in Pakistan, but also to build resilience in all other aspects, facing climate, facing the risk of pandemic situations, and taking into account the need to implement the Sustainable Development Goals. And on the other hand, it is absolutely essential that concessional funding is made available to middle-income countries that are particularly vulnerable. When a least developed country graduates, that graduation brings with it a cost, the loss of concessional funding. And in many situations, they are still extremely vulnerable. So we need to redesign our financial system in order to be able to take into account vulnerability and not only GDP when decisions are made about concessional funding to countries around the world. So there are many other aspects in which we are working hard, and I hope that member states that control the boards of these institutions will be able to implement the kind of reforms that are needed to establish more justice. Today, just to give you an example, my country, Portugal, even in this very difficult situation and with a very high debt to GDP ratio, is still being able to get funding at 3 or 4% of interest rates. I was with President Ruto of Kenya a few days ago, and he told me that when they are trying to go to the market to finance the country, the best offer they had was 14%. It shows that there is a basic injustice in today's system and that we need effective reform.
Let me go to Irish television. Eunice? Yeah.
My question is Prime Minister Sharif, and I will ask in my own language, in Urdu. सर आपने
शहबाज
सर माजी में हमारे जब भी आफत वगैरह आई है और फंड हमें मिले तो हमेशा हमने यही देखा है कि उसकी शफाफियत के हवाले से सवाल उठाए गए, लेकिन ये बड़ी अच्छी और खुशहाल बात है कि अभी आपने बात की है कि हमने इस हवाले से थर्ड पार्टी के हवाले से हमने उस पर काम किया है, और क्या इसकी मज़ीद आप तफसील बताएंगे?
Yes, this is in my speech today, that these programs, through joint collaboration and with international support, will be undertaken in a very transparent fashion. I said in my speech that since I believe in this mechanism, therefore I had given clear instructions to my team, part and parcel of this program. All these interventions will be undertaken under these conditionalities. तो ये जो आपने बात की है बिल्कुल सही कहा कि शफाफियत ये हमारी पहली तरजीह है और उसका तकाजा ये है कि इंटरनेशनल जो कम्युनिटी जो फंड्स मुहैया करेगी, आज जिनके ऐलानात हो रहे हैं, वो खुद हमसे ये तवक्को करेंगे कि हम एक एक पाई का हिसाब दें, और उसका वाहिद तरीका ये है कि सारे का सारा निज़ाम बहुत शफाफ हो और थर्ड पार्टी मैकेनिज्म, थर्ड पार्टी वैलिडेशन जो है जिसमें हुकूमत और पैसे देने वाले किसी का कोई इख्तियार या असर ना हो, थर्ड पार्टी खुद हकायक की बुनियाद पर उसका फैसला करे.
Let me now go to AFP. I think the microphone is making its way to you.
Thank you. Nina Larson with AFP. I had just a question for both of you. I was wondering if you could say how confident you are that you'll be able to get the massive investments that you're asking for, the $8 billion from international sources that you're asking for. And for Prime Minister Sharif, I was wondering if you could say how close you are to a deal with the IMF for the next disbursement tranche and what the main stumbling blocks might be. Thank you.
Well, it is my hope that we'll be able to come out of this conference with a support as close as possible to the 8 billion that, as the Prime Minister said, the international community is supposed to contribute in relation to this program at this moment. But this is not the end of the story. I believe it will be very important as the program of reconstruction moves on to go on mobilizing international support, because when we see the situation in Pakistan and the level of devastation that took place, and when you see the fragility of the country in relation to possible future natural disasters, I think that international solidarity will not stop at this conference. But if we come close to the 8 billion, that means that there is a considerable success and a demonstration of trust in relation to the government and the people of Pakistan for the capacity to implement what is a very ambitious but very well-structured program that was also presented in this conference.
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to just answer your question that even before these floods hit Pakistan, we were already facing humongous challenges because of serious tension in Eastern Europe, and as a result, food inflation, the prices of oil and gas were skyrocketing, and Pakistan was facing this imported inflation in a very, very difficult situation. And how could you expect that after the floods hit Pakistan and almost destroyed everything, that we would pass on this imported inflation on the common man, and he or she will accept it without even a squeak? That is unnatural. And that is also not in line with the norms of justice and fair play, that the rich can enjoy both the worlds, whether the prices of oil touch $200 a barrel or $30 a barrel, and a poor man who is able to meet his two ends with great difficulty, you will expect that he will absorb this price hike without any protest and agitation. That is not human, strategy. That is not normal. It is absolutely abnormal. Yet we had to again connect with IMF and resurrect that agreement which was violated by the previous government, and accept even harsher conditionalities. So that is our challenge. And today, while we are complying with IMF conditionalities as best as possible, but how on earth can you expect from me that I am working out of Prime Minister's house and a poor man in the far-flung areas of Pakistan, in the sand dunes, in rocky mountains of Balochistan, or snow-covered peaks of KP, or plains of the province of Sindh, which have been, even today as you go over there, you will find standing water, which has destroyed their livelihood, that we should pass on this additional burden on them. It is nightmarish, to say the least. Yet, we are committed to IMF's program. We will do everything to comply with their terms and conditions, although I am constantly trying to persuade them that please give us a pause. I'm very grateful to Secretary General. He is also in touch with them. I spoke to the managing director the other day and tried to first assure her that we will comply with the terms and conditions. And B, I said, you are a wonderful person, wonderful human being. You have a heart of a gem, and you know the plight of poor people in developing countries. So kindly be considerate and compassionate and give us some breathing space. Well, this is an ongoing dialogue. I'm sure one day soon we will be able to convince them through logic and through facts. That said, regardless, we will comply with IMF program.
Mr. Prime Minister, did you want to say something else, Secretary General?
Well, I'd like to say that economic stability is very important. But let's not forget that the day we will all be there, there will be perfect economic stability.
Thank you so much, everybody. This is all the time that we have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister, Secretary General.